cancer issue. We ask that you miraculously intervene, like you've done so many times before, to touch him and to heal the rest of whatever that type of cancer is. And maybe, Lord, let the next PET scan or the next scan that he does be completely clean and clear, and so that you could receive the glory for it all, Lord. And it's in your name tonight that we pray and that we give you glory for everything that you do, Lord, and for everything that you are, Lord, for us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thank you for that. We are going to go across the ocean to China. By the way, what things come to mind when you think of China? Rice, okay. Dishes, really? Oh, China. Yeah, China dishes. Yeah, okay. China made in China. Chinese food, yes, absolutely. Anything else? What's that? Fortune cookies. We're going to talk about fortune cookies also a little bit later on. They're not exactly, they didn't originate in China. They actually originated in California. But it was a Chinese entrepreneur that brought them, that created them. He was the owner of I think it's called the California Chinese Noodle Company. I think that's what it was called. But it was a noodle company, and as a tasty sweet treat, he created these things. And for the workers in his factory, he inserted a little saying in there, a little vague fortune thing in there. So it kind of grew from there. But anything else about China? Technology, okay.
Go back to the fortune cookies. They were talking about them on Mysteries of the Museum. They were not made in China.
Oh, in a show called Mysteries of the Museum, they.
Oh, it's a wonderful program.
Okay.
Good stuff.
But they just affirmed what I just said.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. 2 sources then. That's good to have confirming sources. How about landmarks in China?
The wall.
The wall, yeah, the Great Wall of China, absolutely. The terracotta soldiers. Okay. So look, China's kind of interesting.
Jade.
Jade? Yeah. Not our granddaughter Jade. Bamboo, yeah. Yeah. And along with bamboo, you think of probably the animal that eats bamboo. Pandas, yeah. 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 How about the language? Easy to learn, hard to learn?
I would think it would be hard to learn.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think Chinese, I mean, just my personal opinion, I think Chinese, the written Chinese language and the written Arabic language are 2 of the most beautiful languages out there. They're just absolutely gorgeous. And they can do so much with it because they are based on pictures, right? Based on characters. So we're going to talk about that as well. Let's talk about the flag a little bit. You've seen this. This is the Chinese flag. This is the flag of the People's Republic of China. Okay, and that's what they are called today after 1949 when the communists took over, if you recall that. The big star of the flag, okay, is the actual Chinese Communist Party. That is like the big, you could call it like the big dog, okay? And then these represent the people. The red of the flag is very, very common in China. Red has been something traditional. And as a matter of fact, it's red means life to them, okay? So one of the things they warn you about is if you're going to a funeral, do not wear red. You've heard of that, yes, okay? Yeah, because it's a very happy color for them. It means life. Yellow, I was very surprised actually about the yellow when I looked it up. And you know, we said it represents the Chinese people and, quote, the yellow race. I thought that was a pejorative, but apparently they consider themselves the yellow race, okay? So that's the flag.
Does the stars actually represent Aryans? Each one of those, there's 5 of
there were a bunch. I mean, when I looked this up, there were like thousands of candidate flags that were submitted, and they all had different meanings and everything. They finally settled on this for simplicity, and although some people believe that the five represent like the 5 main areas of China, but it doesn't, according to the people who made the flag. They just said, okay, you have 4 little stars representing the little people, the worker class, and then you have the big star, which is the Chinese Communist Party that runs everything. Yeah, that's a good question. This is what we usually cover: location, geography, what makes China special, the people of China, religion, if any, and what work Church of Nazarene is doing there. And then we're going to end with prayer, as we usually do. China is part of what we call the Asia-Pacific region. Now, does anybody remember how many world areas the Church of Nazarene is in? Well, world areas, what they call world areas is a country or a creative access area. So how many countries?
Eurasia is one of them.
That's a region.
155.
The United States is one.
Okay, USA, Canada.
Africa's another one.
Yes.
Okay, Bonnie, help me.
Yeah, so she's naming the regions, the collections. So the Asia-Pacific region has 32 world areas within the region. So overall, how many world areas?
155.
155?
Really?
Yeah, it's actually 165 now. So that's great. But that includes creative access areas as well.
I was breaking it down like our kids are.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, region. Yeah, that's right. But no, that's it. That's exactly correct. But here in the Asia-Pacific region, you'll notice that there's some dark-colored countries and there's some light-colored countries. What do you think that represents? Here we have Australia, New Zealand. We have Papua New Guinea. You have over here. You have Mongolia. We've done Mongolia. Japan, South Korea, but not North Korea. North Korea is in light. South Korea is dark. What is it?
Non-communist countries is dark.
Non-communists? That's close. You're in the right area.
That's the areas that we cannot have churches.
Yes, yes, right. The light areas are where we cannot go in officially as Nazarene missionaries, and that includes China. That includes Vietnam, Laos, which is right there, Malaysia, North Korea, like I said. So in this area, there are a lot of countries where we can't go in officially as Nazarenes. And we don't talk about it, and when they ever do talk about it, they have to turn off all cell phones and all internet connections and stuff like that, because we don't want to endanger the people there. But China's kind of in the middle of all that. So China itself is represented by these characters here. This is, and let me know if I'm in your way, okay, especially the folks over here. The left character is called Zhong, okay? Zhong, yeah, you can say it. Zhong, Zhong. Okay, the second character is Guo. Guo. Guo means country. So whenever you hear something Guo, it means country. Like Fa Guo is France. De Guo is Germany. And we'll get to United States here in a second. But Zhong means middle. Okay? So what it's basically saying is middle country. So China sees itself as sort of the middle country in the middle of a lot of other countries here. So that's what it derives its name from. Or you can call it Middle Kingdom as well. All right, here's a kind of a close-up of China. You notice some famous cities in China? Do you see any? Can you read? Beijing, yeah. How about this one? Shanghai. Okay, and a lot of, you'll notice a lot of Chinese words have two syllables. They're actually, it's almost like they're all words that are put together, like even in English, we have like White House, it's all one word. Okay, so they have a lot of words that are put together like that. Shanghai, Shang means above, Hai means ocean. So Shanghai means it's over the ocean. It's overlooking the ocean. So that's Shanghai. Wuhan, does that ring a bell? Okay. Hong Kong was just given back to China from the British after 100 years lease, if you will. Have we talked about the Gobi Desert? When we talked about Mongolia, which is just to the north of China, we talked about the Gobi Desert. We have, how about this, the Himalayas? Nepal is just on the other side of that. And then we have Tibet. You've heard of Tibet, right? What have you heard about Tibet?
They have the monks.
They have the monks. Free Tibet. Yeah, it's kind of a, it's where the Dalai Lama and his followers are, and of course, you know, they would like to be independent from China, and it's a whole thing. And right here, this thing right here is the actual Great Wall of China. You can see it even from space. It's an amazing thing. Okay, so on this representation of China, I just wanted to point out that there are a bunch of provinces in China, kind of like states, like our states. And there's one in particular I wanted to point out, Guangdong. You can't see it, you can't read it probably, or those of you with good eyes can read it. Guangdong right here. It's also called Canton. Have you ever heard of Cantonese? Cantonese? Okay. So we'll talk about languages, the languages of China in a little bit, but there's two primary languages, Putonghua, which is Mandarin, and then Cantonese is the other one, and it comes from the Canton province or Guangdong. What makes this so interesting is that back in the 1800s, do you remember a time in our country's history where Chinese came over to help build something very important? What was it? The Transcontinental Railroad. Yes, okay. They came from this province, okay? The Canton province is what it was called at that time. And along with the workers, they brought a Cantonese cuisine. And they were the first ones to actually bring Chinese food that we all love into America. So they brought the Cantonese cuisine when they came over in the 1860s. After immigration law changes in 1965, other immigrants came from like northern China, Taiwan, Sichuan. Sichuan is right there. Have you ever heard of like Sichuan chicken when you order from your? Okay, that's Sichuan. A lot of times when you're looking at your Chinese menu and it's a word you don't recognize in front of a food like chicken or pork, it probably comes from a particular province in China. For example, one of the Sichuan type of flavorings is in a very famous dish called Kung Pao chicken. Have you ever heard of that? Okay, so Kung Pao chicken comes from Sichuan. It comes from this area here. So every province has their own way of making things. It's kind of like, you know, we have certain foods in the southern part of the United States and certain foods in like Chicago and New England. You know, we all have certain foods, right? So Kung Pao chicken comes from the Canton, the Sichuan province. It's called Kung Pao. A lot of times what we're calling these things are sort of what the Americans are calling it. It's sort of similar to what the original is, but Kung Pao is actually Gong Bao, which means palace protector. And so Kung Pao chicken is Gong Bao Di Jing, which means palace guardian chicken cubes. because a lot of times it's in these little cubes, right? And Judy will tell you, when we actually went to China in 2012. I was already teaching in Singapore, so hey, I was already acclimated and everything, and we had been saving money to go to China, because I had been studying Chinese at the time. And so we decided we're going to bite the bullet and brought her there, and then we went from Singapore into Beijing. We went to Xi'an and saw the terracotta soldiers. I'll show you a couple of pictures of that. One of the things that Judy did, she wanted kung pao. That's her favorite dish, kung pao chicken. And so she wanted to order it close to where we were staying and in Beijing. And what they do is, we're so used to nicely prepared meat, taken from the bone. They just take the whole chicken and it's like they go with all the bones and everything, all the bones, and they just throw it in there. And she's like, this is good. Ugh, what is that? It's a bone. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but that's the way they prepare it there. They have adjusted a lot of their cuisine to American tastes. So if you want to, there are some places that prepare the traditional, original Chinese cuisine, but of course they always have sweet and sour chicken and things that are like orange chicken and all of that. You guys have a favorite Chinese dish?
I just wonder why they use peanuts.
Oh, peanuts and cashews. Yeah, it's just another food you throw in there. What was your question? Sweet and sour pork and chicken. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Favorite Chinese dish? Going once? You like it all. That's the problem. Oh yeah, pork fried rice is good. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, my Chinese tutor in Miami, when I was going through this, that they were saying, China is so big that they really eat a lot of parts of the animals and a lot of animals that we don't typically eat. Okay. So I'm sorry. What? Dogs? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, anything that moves, that they could eat. Dogs, squirrels. You don't see any squirrels running around.
Don't they actually eat monkeys too?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Now, my tutor said he actually. I went to a Chinese restaurant and I brought a newspaper for him, and I said, "Oh, here's a Chinese newspaper. Let's pick out some things that I can read." And he said, "Oh, this is good." He turned to the ads of other Chinese restaurants, and he said, "Oh, this is a good Chinese restaurant. Their jellyfish is very good." Jellyfish. Like, who would it? But he said, "Don't eat the jellyfish from this place. You'll get sick." Okay, noted.
It's kind of like a buffer fish.
I don't know who would, it occurred to somebody at some point to eat a jellyfish, but, other things like bull spine, like cow spine, this is very good at this place, it's not very good at this place. So he was telling me all the places to eat all this stuff. And he could tell I was a little uncomfortable, a little queasy. And he said, look, where there's so many Chinese people, we have to eat other stuff because otherwise Chinese will be eating Chinese. Chinese people will be eating other Chinese people is what he was saying. So that's the cost of having a lot of people. And we'll see here about the population density. So this is the United States. Population density of the United States, the kind of the darkish, orange, reddish are the higher populations. This is kind of what's called a heat map. And this makes sense. We have Orlando, there's Miami, and you have Los Angeles and New York and Chicago. So, but it's kind of spread out. I mean, we could basically set up shop, pitch our tent, and live anywhere. Okay, in the United States. Not so much with China. Yeah. Okay, this is the population density in China. This line right here, I keep forgetting the name of it. It's the Heihe Tongchong line. Okay, you can remember that. I can't remember it. But that's the line where 94% of the population lives to the east of that line right there. 94% of the population. There's places that are absolutely uninhabited, these white areas, absolutely uninhabited. So they really, they have a problem in population density. Shanghai has 16,982 people per square kilometer. Okay, Beijing has almost 14,000 people per square kilometer. So it's very densely packed. 1.4 billion people, 94% live just to the east of this line. So very, very densely populated. Okay, now that brings us to this. This is a comparison of the United States to China, like we usually do. You could see that mainland China is about, maybe a little bit bigger area-wise than the contiguous states of the United States. They're comparable. I said that. Does anybody remember what this character means for China? Middle. Country, middle country, or middle kingdom. By the way, that little thing right there, that's supposed to be the piece of jade that the king uses. That's a sign of royalty. So this is the king, and then that little piece is the jade. So this whole thing is country or kingdom. So middle country, middle kingdom. Over here, this is a country. We're a country. This symbol right here, character, is Mei. So this is Mei Guo. That's the United States. Now, what does Mei mean? It means beautiful. It means beautiful. And the way it was explained to me by my tutors when I first started learning this is that they see our country as beautiful because it is. But a lot of, look at all the coastline we have on this side. Look at all the coastline we have on this side. We have a lot of farmland, a lot of usable land. We have beautiful lakes. We have huge lakes. We have little lakes. We have rivers. We have two mountain ranges, the Appalachians and the Rockies. It is a beautiful country. Mei Guo is America. And some people believe that it kind of goes with the M in America, or if you make it more concise, America. But it's Mei Guo. So, what are some interesting things about China? Well, their language has been around for, their written language has been around for, guess how long? 15,000 years. Wow, you went for everything. 3,000 years. Okay, I'll take it back a little bit. We're not counting cave drawings and things like that, which yeah. What's that? That's what it looks like? Yeah, these are actual characters. And so this is kind of the etymology of the history of how characters became sub-characters. And so these are kind of like the middle characters, and then the bottom line here is closer to what today's Chinese characters look like. And those are, they were kind of done or put together about the 7th century AD. And you see characters. Every country I've ever gone to, I've looked for a McDonald's and I've taken a picture because I always love to see McDonald's in whatever language is local. Back in so when the communists took over, one of the good things they did is they really emphasized literacy. There was only like 20 or 30% literacy at the time, and because the language is so difficult, right? The written language. So they simplified. You remember who Mao Zedong is, right? Okay, so he was the communist leader, and he instituted the simplification of the characters, and that was so that other people could learn it better, and so that their own people could learn it better, and they could have more access to the world. So these are just a couple of words real quick. How. Have you ever heard of like ni hao? Have you heard of that Chinese expression? Ni hao. What does ni hao mean? Hello. Okay, hello, ni hao. Ni means you, hao means good. Like, how good? How good are you? Okay? This is a character actually that represents a woman. This represents a man, and it's actually daughter and son. So they think if you have a daughter and a son, that's good. So then you have this full character called hao. Sub-characters are called radicals. Okay, so if you look at, I'll give you this hao. Okay, now the next one is shuo. Shuo, they simplified. You can see this radical here. They simplified that. It's a person. It represents a person, and so they simplified it. And so now the person radical looks like this. But it's pronounced the same. Everything's the same. It's just simplified. Here they simplified it a little bit different. Jue means sleep. Oh, by the way, hao is good. Shuo is speak or tell. Jue is sleep. And here they kind of changed the upper and lower radical, but they left the structure the same. And then here it's like it doesn't even hardly resemble the original. But that is a lot simpler. Ting means to hear. Okay? Anytime you see a square inside of a Chinese character, it has to do with mouth. It's called kou. So in this, by the way, where you have these symbols with little accents and things over them, that's called pinyin, which is something else that Mao Zedong said, let's get the Roman alphabet so that Westerners can learn this as well. And so that's one of the things. It's called pinyin when you see things like that. It's a tonal language. Here is just about everywhere you see, they have homages to Mao Zedong, other communist leaders. Most of the time, I think they have to. I think, well, okay. This is a jade factory. This eagle right here was carved out of a single piece of jade. We couldn't afford to bring it back with us. It's $25,000. Here's something else that's associated with China. They're acrobats.
Hey, I don't think they can learn Chinese because they don't eat Chinese food.
Wow.
My name is Judy Chan.
Wow, fantastic. So
we're just going to keep teaching you, and I'll be serving you some Chinese food. So if you
yeah.
get used to that, I'll go on the other side.
Mayo went to you, no problem. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So chef in Chinese is chu shi, which means shi means expert, chu means food. So food expert makes a lot of sense. So that's what a chef is. Teacher is lao shi, which is old expert. So they. Believe it or not, yeah, it's a very, very respectful term for a teacher. Yeah, lao shi.
Is everybody okay with white rice? Chicken and vegetables? Yes, all right.
All right. How about, I see sesame seeds there. Yeah. Okay, so we only have a couple more slides anyway before we can dig in. You recognize this place? Yes, the Great Wall of China. The touristy parts have been rebuilt. There's a lot of the wall that has not been rebuilt. Very interesting. But from here, I left Judy down here. She wasn't interested in going with me to climb this whole thing. But from there, I took this picture. From there. It's a lot of steps to get up there, but an amazing, amazing place, amazing architecture. The terracotta soldiers, Judy mentioned that. We went to a place called Xi'an, which is the original capital of China. Okay, so Beijing is the current capital, and Xi'an is the original capital. So we went there. I'm not going to get into all of our, touristy things, but we did see the terracotta soldiers up close and live. Well, not live, they're statues. But very interesting if you ever want to do that. Xi'an, by the way, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, Xi'an, the old city was surrounded by a 13-kilometer wall. It's not as big as the Great Wall, but it's way wider than this sanctuary. It's very, very wide. We rented a bicycle. We rode our bicycle around the whole thing. It was very cool. But they did some amazing stuff a long time ago. By the way, Beijing, the original name for Beijing is something you're probably familiar with food-wise, and it has to do with duck. It's a particular type of duck dish in Chinese. Do you know what it is? Starts with a P. Peking duck. Yes, Peking is the original name for Beijing. So that's where the name comes from. Peking duck comes from the original name for Beijing, which is Peking.
What are those carved out of?
These were all terracotta, so like clay. The interesting things. One of the interesting things about them is some of them are still buried because they want to preserve the original paint. All of these were very colorful painted when they were buried, but as soon as you uncover them and expose them to air, the paint just like disappears. It gets oxidized very, very quickly. So they're trying to figure out a way, because there's a lot more that are still buried. They're trying to figure out a way to uncover them in a way that preserves the paint. But yeah, very interesting stuff. We all know dumplings, right? Nobody mentioned dumplings as their favorite Chinese food, but no, you don't like dumplings. There's some good dumplings, and there's some bad dumplings, but yes. Yeah, I'm pretty much a fan of dumplings. Not so much a fan of these over here. This was a hotel in Xi'an that we stayed at, and here it says, ham intestines is rolled up. Ham intestines is rolled up. They're basically pig in a blanket. They're little hot dogs but that's not a very, appetizing title. Pig's intestines is rolled up. So I had to take a picture of that. That was great. So let's talk about the demographics of China. Population 1.4 billion, as I mentioned before. Most of them are Han Chinese, okay? So these are the typical Chinese people that you associate, but not all of them look like that. There are Uyghurs. If you heard of the Uyghurs in northern China, recently in recent news they've been in the news because of the abuse. They're actually Muslims. Okay, it's a relatively small group, but it's a minority. But the Chinese Communist Party, I should say, we like to distinguish between the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and the actual Chinese people. The people that are in charge, the communists, have done some pretty bad stuff. The people that they put into prison for whatever reason, they can harvest their organs and just really bad stuff. There was actually a science display that was on tour in the United States. Do you remember what that was called, Judy?
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen it? No. Well, there was a display. It was basic bodies. It was the bodies display. Remember that? The bodies, where they had they had methods of taking away everything except, say, the skeleton, or everything except the circulatory system. It was fascinating, but there was a lot of talk about those were some of the prisoners. So anyway, so you have these minority groups, 55 minority groups. Let me show you something that we picked up in a market in China. This is every one of these characters here. The central character is I, which is love. Okay, and then all of these other characters stand for the 56 different dialects in China. So yeah, there's a lot of dialects. The main one, like I said, is Putonghua, which is the people's language. That's Mandarin. Then you have Cantonese, and then all these other ones. Okay, But you notice is in the, looks like a cross, right? The lady who did this, her name was Helen, and she was a Christian. We met her in a marketplace, and Judy took a kind of a video asking her about how she became a Christian. It was through her father who had been evangelized previously. But this is fascinating. She even gave us a diagram on the back to let us know which symbols are associated with which dialect. So it was really nice. But these characters are made by using brushes. This is a big one, so I could show you for big letters, but she obviously used a small one. But there are always these very, very special brushes. And she did one special for Ted. Ted was born in the year of the horse, and we saw that she had one that had a horse and it looked beautiful, so she put Ted's name in Chinese. It was really cool. But yes, there are some Christians there. We're gonna talk about in the next slide the Christian presence there. But languages, 90% is Mandarin, the people's language, Putonghua, which was mandated by the Chinese Communist Party. We need to have a common tongue for all the people if we're going to come together as China. Shanghaiese from Shanghai, Cantonese 6%, 10% other minority languages, 10% all these other ones that I just mentioned. I looked up there isn't really hard numbers. Remember, I usually look it up in this app that I have from the State Department. Well, guess what? China isn't giving up their numbers on how many children are working. Okay, so yeah, they're just not giving up that information. At least not to our State Department. So there is no information on that other than we know what products children work in, and there's a bunch of them. You've heard of these sweatshops, right? Yeah. So. It's a real challenge. Religion. 20 to 30% traditional, folk, or Taoism. Have you ever heard of Taoism? What is the essence of Taoism? Yeah. You've heard of Taoism. Okay, all right. So it's a Chinese philosophy that basically believes that believers need to exist in harmony with the universe. Okay, so it's kind of, we would call it a kind of a new agey kind of thing. Hey, everything's a god. We must coexist with the universe and be in harmony with it. Sounds like Buddhism. Sounds like Hinduism and a lot of these other religions. But it's there's no person associated with Taoism in the way that Buddhism is with Buddha, for example. But Taoism is one of the largest religions, if you want to call it a religion. Buddhism comes in second place. Remember, in Thailand, they're almost all Buddhists, right? And then this, again, an estimate, 5 to 7% Christian, which corresponds to about 40 or 50 million. I've heard estimates of upwards of 100 million Christians, and that the Christian church, that's one of the fastest growing communities of Christian believers in the world. Islam, like I said, the Uyghurs are there. And then, this is amazing though, about 50% have no religion at all. Now, you look at this and you say, wow, this is a great mission field. But there's a problem. There are Christians, and there are Christian churches, by the way. But all Christian churches must be registered with the government. Okay, so you can have a Christian church, but it has to follow certain rules, has to be registered with the government. The government is always monitoring what is said so that what is said in the church is not contrary to what the CCP wants. You had something to add? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought you were like, okay. So officially, Nazarene Church is not officially in China, but and again, we called these types of areas creative access areas, right? A member of my family was actually there on a short-term mission trip. There are missionaries, you could say. They are undercover. They are just like a lot of the Christians there. One of the things that is popular in China, because if you don't want to register your church with the government and have a beautiful building like we have, then you have to go to the house church model. Okay, so if you have a house church, that's been, it's easy to multiply, but a lot of these house churches, if they're found out by the government, they are raided, and the leader of that group is usually arrested and imprisoned. And we know what happens to prisoners there. So it's not a great environment to be in. So you have to, any kind of missionary that goes there wanting to share the gospel has to be very creative about going there. They need to make sure they have an occupation that is not Christian occupation, right? It's not a clergy or anything like that, even though they could be ordained and probably are. But they need another way of providing for themselves. There's communication issues when sharing. That's why we don't get a lot of information from the work there, because it would compromise the people that are there. There are other countries like that. There are other creative access areas, but what Judy was saying is that every time that you eat Chinese food, try to remember the Chinese people who, especially the unreached Chinese people, and the people that are trying to reach them. Just kind of, pray for them when you're eating Chinese food. So, as I say that now, let me show you a couple of things before I turn it back over to Judy. Some of the interesting things up here, you're welcome to come look at anything you want. Someone noted this little guy here. Whee! It's a little cat, and it does this. Okay, all right. Does anybody know what that is? Have you ever heard of the Chinese lucky cat? Yeah, that's it. Okay, this is Chinese lucky cat. This one is actually, there's a little solar cell, and if I put this like in a lot of light, this little thing would just keep going. They have battery-powered ones. There's one sitting on the table that Judy just brought in, and and she also has a Chinese tea set that we bought in China, along with the food. And afterwards, I guess they can come up and grab their fortune cookie. Huh? Almost. I wanted to bring this up, or did you want to explain?
No.
Are you sure? Okay.
You're very good, thank you.
Okay, check. What's that?
You might go.
Oh. Maybe put it on the right way. Okay, we'll leave it there. Okay. So this is a little holder for some utensils, because using chopsticks can be challenging for people. So this is a little thing you can kind of put the chopsticks together if you want, and so you can use the chopsticks, right? When we did Mongolia, we actually had a little contest with chopsticks, but then it also holds, this little kit also holds some regular spoon and fork. So anyway, one of us was having trouble with the chopsticks, so we went to get one of these kits here, which was really nice.
Was being a lot embarrassed and all blistered away.
Oh yeah. So everybody else so for those of you at home, those we went to these restaurants, and everybody else, obviously, in the restaurants had chopsticks because they were all Chinese. And then Judy would bring out this thing and blink, 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 blink. And this would, anyway, she would get some stares. Not that I look Chinese. Yeah, all that blended right in. Yeah. This was interesting. At one of the markets, I saw this, and that this guy was playing it, and it's a little instrument made out of some kind of a gourd. And anyway, so I said, oh, that's kind of cool. I'll get it for Ted. We always try to pick up an instrument for him, since he's a good musician. Anyway, this guy, he told me what the price is, and of course, you know, if you want to let the person know that you value this thing that they're trying to sell, you want to haggle for it, because this guy wasn't like that. I said, Taiguela means that's too expensive. Can you make it a little cheaper? He said, Bugwe, Bugwe. You know, he's like yelling at me. I'm like, okay, here's the money. I'll move on. But yeah, usually you want to haggle a little bit, because then, you know, they understand you really want it. You're really interested in it, right? This was actually we bought this in Taiwan. When we were in the Philippines, we had to bounce out to renew her visa in Taiwan. We chose Taiwan to do this because we'd never been. Anyway, so we bought this, and you know, when I'm in places, and you know, maybe Native American shops or things like that, and I buy something and I look on the tag and it says made in Taiwan or made in China, I was like, oh. Well, I mean, we looked at this and it says, you know, Taiwan, and we're like, oh, hey, wait a minute. We're in Taiwan. It's made in Taiwan. This counts. This is great. This is awesome. Oh. So anyway, I could go on, but I think let's go ahead and pray. And do you have your? Okay. So this is what we want to pray about. Again, this isn't something provided by the Nazarene Church, but you know, based on our experience and people that we've spoken to, this would be appropriate for us to pray for. And any time you're eating Chinese food, that would be nice for you to.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. As always, it's good to see everybody here. Let's go ahead and pray for the safety of the missionaries that are there. Also for God to open doors for them to be able to, you know, to have a church. And for their houses too, because they congregate in their own houses and they put their families in risk. China really does have a lot of people, and they're different. The way they see life is different. We here we love, and over there you see honor. Honor is a big thing for them. I think the children do very well. I'm sure they love their kids, but they do very well because they honor their parents. And I think that's how it should be with our Heavenly Father. We do things good, we learn, we serve to honor Him. And that's what the Chinese people does with their parents, you know. So let's go ahead and pray. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day, Lord, and this night. And I thank you, Lord, for you, and I thank you for the opportunities that we have to learn about the missionaries. And I ask you, Lord, to be with each one of them, to keep them grace wherever they go, that their words are going to bring Christ into people's hearts. And I ask you, Lord, for the churches that are hiding in houses, Lord, to put angels around them, keep them safe, keep them always filled with the Spirit. And also, Lord, be brave to be there and just to enjoy the time that you have given them to serve others in another country. I also ask you, Lord, for their abilities to learn Chinese. That is not an easy language, Lord, and just help our brothers and sisters that are overseas. I ask you this in the name of Jesus, amen.
All right.
Okay.
So
Hold on. Hold on. I have some prizes. Yeah, you have your own Chinese sticks, so chopsticks, so you can be embarrassed yourself, not just me. Whoever is wearing something red today. Oh. Anything? Do you have anything red with you? Bags, purse, nothing? Check this out.
Mary does.
Oh, Mary, you have something red.
There you go.
Here.
Here's something.
Oh, we'll give it to you for red. Here. Okay, let's see. I have one more thing. Who remembers how to say, how are you? Yo, how? Ni hao. Yay! Very good. All right, and then the last thing is I'm going to give you some fortune, some cookies. God is going to give you a fortune. There you go.
I don't think the manual prohibits this.
Yeah, I never say that.
It's not like playing the lottery.
It's just, this is the dessert.
Gambling.
There is a place in Tallahassee that is Buddha
Oh, yes.
on Monroe out there where I live. And they don't have a temple, but they have a lot of statues.
There's a Buddhist temple on Woodville Highway. Yes. You see the one on the left-hand side going south? We actually thought that was a Thai restaurant, so we pulled in there, and we were like, doesn't look like they're open, and doesn't look like there's like a posted menu that we could read. And then this bald lady came out of the house that was next door, and she was a monk. And she came out, but we were already like leaving, but we could see as we were leaving, this lady was coming out, and she probably understood that we were confused. And yeah.
I thought my kids were all men.
Actually, there is a Buddhist monk that was just ordained in South Korea, who is a robot.
Really?
Yes. The first AI ordained Buddhist monk was just ordained in. You saw that? You saw that now? Yeah. Pretty amazing, huh? Yeah. I mean, went through the whole rituals, put your hands together, blah blah blah, and recite the whatever. And it was an AI robot. Amazing.
So we all dismissed, right?
Yeah. Whenever you're done reading your fortune.
And next month, we're going, not that far away, but we're going somewhere, so be ready for that.
If you want to look at any of this stuff, feel free to come up. Or any of that. I haven't played it. Last time I tried to play it, it didn't work. But it looks I can't even remember. It was like the equivalent of like $4. I mean, I probably it was pretty cheap, but I wanted to haggle just